even see the change. Microscopic, take my dip. Take the chance to turn away. Step back, look at the world to see the difference that you made. So let's lead the way. Start a worldwide relay where reactions in the chain. Speak out, let your voice be heard. Tell them what you got to say. We are people, no, we're more than people. We are part of something stronger, something bigger than ourselves.
Welcome, everybody, to our Montgomery County Moms Demand Action meeting and Wear Orange 2024. We are so grateful to all of you for joining us this morning. We know there are many demands on your time, particularly at this time of year, but it will take each one of us to end the gun violence crisis in America, and so we could not be more grateful for your presence here today. I'm Joanna Pearl, and this is my colleague Christy Kartsakalis. We help lead the Montgomery County local group of Moms Demand Action. This meeting was the effort of a team that is much bigger than just the two of us. We begin all of our meetings with our statement of intention, which I'm going to read now. Our intention is to foster a robust presence of diversity, equity, and inclusion of and for all individuals and groups choosing to join our efforts. Our purpose is to work together to decrease gun violence and increase public safety across our nation. In our meetings, events, and activities, we value diversity, we advance equity, and we demonstrate inclusion. We are a community. We are gun violence survivors, including victims and witnesses, change makers and advocates who come together in partnership to work toward a future that is free from gun violence. As an aside, I'll say that our planning, well, I think really good overall, had not accounted for the carousel sound in the background. It's a little incongruous, but it is festive. I'm going to just speak briefly about what Moms Demand Action is and who we are. Moms Demand Action is a grassroots movement working to prevent gun violence in America. Gun violence is the #1 killer of children and teens in this country and in Maryland, and that's completely unacceptable. You're all here because we know that gun violence is preventable, and we're committed to doing what it takes to keep our communities and families safe. Yesterday was the 10th National Gun Violence Awareness Day, and this weekend we recognize Wear Orange Weekend. Wear Orange started in 2015, what would have been Hadiya Pendleton's 18th birthday. Wear Orange began with teenagers in Chicago who wanted to honor their friend Hadiya after she was shot and killed. The commemoration has become a national event during which communities nationwide unite to prevent gun violence. Today we wear orange as opposed to our traditional red, the color traditionally worn by hunters. We honor Hadiya and the over 120 people shot and killed every day in the United States, and those survivors of gun violence whose lives have been changed forever. Across Montgomery County this weekend, municipalities, businesses, and individuals like you will support this cause by wearing orange, lighting up spaces, public spaces orange, and taking action to stop gun violence. We wear orange to together demand a future that is free from gun violence. We're joined today by community partners from the Street Outreach Network, the Conflict Resolution Center, and the Montgomery County Family Justice Center Foundation. We're so honored to work alongside these organizations to combat gun violence in Montgomery County, and we invite you to visit with them after our program concludes. We're also pleased to welcome an amazing group of elected officials who support gun violence prevention locally and are standing with us today. So our agenda for today, we're going to begin by hearing from our representatives in state and county government about what actions are being taken to reduce gun violence here in our community. Next, we'll hear from Christy Warren, the Executive Director of the Montgomery County Family Justice Center Foundation, who's one of our close community partners. And then we're going to turn to the heart of Wear Orange and our movement. We're going to hear from gun violence survivors and close with a powerful musical performance. When our meeting concludes, we invite you to join us in a community walk around the park. Our plan is to turn Wheaton Regional Park orange and together raise awareness as we go. And you're also welcome to stay here under the pavilion or return to the pavilion for food and fellowship. Our volunteers will be around, and our community partners as well. So with that, I wanted to kick off our speaking program. I'm honored to introduce Maryland Senator Jeff Waldstreicher, Delegate Jared Solomon, and members of the Maryland General Assembly. These are leaders who truly understand the impact of gun violence on our community and across the state, and we're really lucky to work alongside them to combat this problem. And they're coming.
Thank you, Joanna. Thank you, Christy. Let's bring up everyone from the state delegation. I know the council will have some words as well. My name is Jeff Waldstreicher. It's an honor to be here today. It's an honor to serve with these wonderful folks up here. Your state delegation is working hand in glove with each of you to end gun violence in Maryland. So often in this movement, there's a sense that nothing can be done. We know the federal government is frozen. Other states have gone in the opposite direction. But let's make something clear. Maryland is leading the way. After Sandy Hook, we passed an assault rifle ban. Since then, we've banned ghost guns, passed universal background checks, red flag laws. And just this past session, and it went into law on Saturday, 1 week ago today, we ended gun industry immunity in Maryland. And you're going to hear from my teammate and colleague, Delegate Jared Solomon, who's done some incredible work about all the other bills that we've passed when it comes to gun violence in Maryland. But we couldn't do it without each and every one of you. Politics is first and foremost a team sport. And so to all the advocates, but especially on this Wear Orange Day, to all the victims and survivors of gun violence, let us say collectively, thank you. You are the reason Maryland is making progress on gun violence. You are the reason Maryland is leading the way. You are the reason that the Vice President of the United States came here yesterday to show how much progress we've made here in this great state. And so let me end with this. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you to each and every one of you for the energy you put in, the time you spend in Annapolis, the activism that you bring. Thank you so very much. And with that, let me introduce my teammate, my colleague, my friend, Delegate Jared Solomon.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm going to try not to trip over this. And thank you particularly to Chrissy and Joanna and everybody. Joanna is not only a constituent, but a friend and a neighbor, so I think we take a little bit of pride that she's from District 18. And I just want to say...
And the parks in District 18.
And the parks. So, you know, this is incredible. I was talking to another member of the organizing team, and I come to this also from the beginning. So I started my career as a high school teacher in Baltimore City and worked with some incredible young people in 2013. And then that group sort of spun off and formed Marylanders to Prevent Gun Violence. And I remember when we were fighting for then Senator Frosch's Gun Safety Act, you know, there were a small group of us in Annapolis pounding the pavement. And now, I mean, we couldn't even fit just the District 18 folks in our office this year on the day. And it's like, it seems like every year it grows and grows and grows. And that is just a testament to the incredible organizing power of each and every one of you, that this isn't a political issue. This is our friends and our family and our communities, and this transcends politics. It's people's lives. And so this year in particular, I wanted to just touch on two bills. One was one of the governor's priorities, and I think we were all over the moon and very happy to, I think all of us co-sponsored it and worked on it, was to create the Office of Gun Violence Prevention within the administration. Incredibly happy that that's been signed into law. And then a bill that I was incredibly proud to sponsor and work with Senator Kagan on, that I know was one of your priorities as well, that overhauls the way in which we do active shooter trainings and drills in our public schools across the state. And more importantly, we have become only the second state in the country, we believe, to require school systems to send home information on gun safety and safe storage. And we know 80% of the guns that are used in school shootings often come from either immediate family or close friends, and getting that information out is just so crucial. And I want to thank Sheriff Wee, who is just an incredible partner in Annapolis with us, and law enforcement who helped us get that through. And again, that would not have been possible without all of you. So thank you. And then we have a citation that we want to present to Moms Demand from the entire Montgomery County delegation, both the House and the Senate. Be it hereby known to all that sincerest congratulations are offered to Montgomery County Moms Demand Action in recognition of National Gun Violence Awareness Day, presented on this, the 8th day of June 2024, by the Montgomery County delegation, signed by our delegation chairs and every member of the Montgomery County House and Senate delegation. So, Grana, do you want to come up and we'll present it officially?
Thank you so much. Next, we're grateful to be joined by County Executive Mark Belrich to talk about gun violence prevention in Montgomery County specifically.
So I think, like everybody else, I'm not happy to be here, but we're here because we have to be here, and that's what we do when we have a problem we have to solve. I got involved early on with gun violence when I was on the Tacoma Park City Council, and we actually tried to pass a law. We looked at what a public space was, and the sidewalks were public spaces, and we were going to pass a law that said you can't have a gun within 100 feet of a public space, which would have ruled out pretty much every house in Tacoma Park. The attorneys had other ideas. And that's when we first ran up against the limitations of local authority and how much authority rests with the state on critical issues. We're limited in how far we can go by the limits that the state has. And so I understood early on that this is a challenging problem to solve. But I've got to say that we can do all the legislation about where you can be and where you can't be with the gun. The fundamental problem is the attitude of people who have the guns, and which I really honestly believe are fundamental mental health problems. These are not people who are just perfectly fine with life and walking down the street and carrying a gun and thinking, I'll just shoot somebody. These are people who are struggling with life and do not know how to fit and are often angry, and often drugs and other things are involved in this. And we need to continue to double down on the work we try to do in mental health. So we are increasing the number of mental health response teams we have, so that more and more often the police respond with somebody who's got mental health training, so those incidents go south. We've put more resources into the school to deal with mental health. We're opening up a resilience center, restoration center, to try to get people off the street who are having trouble and try to give them counseling. We've got to do everything we can to reach as many people as we can and talk to youth who are in trouble and youth who are troubled and try to help them find another way forward. And I think that that's, it's the hardest thing to do. It's the most expensive thing to do. It means investing in enough clinical and behavioral support in the community that you actually reach the kids who need that support. You need things like this. We had one almost incident in school where it was basically stopped by a kid's friend telling the police that somebody was planning on doing something that would have probably been pretty horrific. And we need people to be willing to speak out. If you know if somebody's doing something, we've got to validate for kids that it's the right thing to do to speak up. You're not a snitch. You're not, turning in your friend. You're preventing some of your other friends from getting killed. And I just think we've got a lot of work to do on the social, emotional end of children's lives and young adults' lives if we expect to really drive down these numbers of gun violence. I was looking in the, I think it was this morning's news, in the country, cities in the country, the two of the worst five are our neighbor to the south and our almost neighbor to the north for amount of violence in the cities. DC's looking at 40 homicides per 100,000 people or something like that. It's an alarming number. So we've got a lot of work we have to do, and I'm committed to doing it. I think funding this is some of the most important things we do in the county. People talk about, the growth of, county budgets and things. Budgets grow because you have to tackle problems like this that we weren't trying to tackle 10 years ago. And so when you decide you're going to stand up and tackle a problem, it usually comes with a price tag. The thing is, it comes with a price tag if you don't tackle the problem. And that price tag is large emotional damage to many, many people. And I even think in terms of gun violence now, the fact that people are afraid to go places because of the fear of it, it turns everybody into a victim. If you're afraid to walk out of the street, go to a place you used to be comfortable with, and you say, I'm not sure I want to go there anymore, all of us are losing quality of life if you feel that you're not safe anywhere. So I honestly believe we've got to make the resources available, do the things we need to do to recover more and more of these children, and not simply hope that the problem goes away or that we can, ban somebody from coming to a park. I think that the two guys who were shot in Silver Spring were in a park. They were not allowed to have a gun in the park. They had a gun in the park. They got in a dispute in a basketball game. Seriously? So obviously that's not a person, those aren't people who were fully cognizant of what it was they were doing, at least socially and emotionally cognizant. So I urge you to, keep doing what you're doing, stay present, push back as much as you can, whatever the state legislature could do. This would all be helpful it could be helped a lot more if we had a Senate in the United States that wasn't a roadblock, not a Senate, a House that wasn't a roadblock to progress, or 60 votes in the Senate, because I think unless you pick up Republican votes, you're not going to move anything out of there. We were close once, it wasn't that long ago. Anyway, so I look forward to working with you going forward because I know you're all committed. Somebody commented on, we've been here doing this over and over and over again. And this is like other things we do. We will do this over and over and over again until we get a better resolution to it than we have today. But thank you all for being out here.
Thank you, Mr. County Executive. We're also very lucky to have County Council President Andrew Friedson and the other members of the Montgomery County Council here to present a proclamation recognizing National Gun Violence Awareness Day, through which the County Council as a whole really demonstrates its understanding of the impact of this issue on our community. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm going to call my colleagues up if you'd like to join us. As mentioned, I'm Andrew Friedson, currently serve as the President of the Montgomery County Council, proud to be here with several of our council colleagues, on behalf of all of our council colleagues. And I will say that we all regret that we are here and why we are here, but we're grateful that we are here together to stand up as a county, to stand up as a state, to join together with so many community-based volunteers, so many families, so many of our great leaders in the General Assembly, so many of our great leaders in law enforcement, like Sheriff Wee and his predecessor, Sheriff Popkin, who have really been national leaders as public safety professionals on gun violence prevention, to say enough, to recognize that we don't have to accept gun violence as an inevitability, that we know that this is an issue that plagues our country uniquely to other countries, that plagues our communities uniquely. And that's not by some happenstance. That's because of decisions and choices that we make, or decisions and choices that we choose not to make each and every day. So I'm proud to stand together with a Montgomery County Council who, under Gabe Albernaz's leadership, led the way by banning ghost guns in Montgomery County and pushed the state, really, and gave some motivation and some juice to our state General Assembly members to lead the way on their efforts at the state level, who under Evan Glass's leadership and all of our support with the SAFE Act, understanding that we can't always prevent thoughts that people have, but when someone is in crisis, we want them to have access to information and resources, not access to a gun. Because we know that that split second, life and death moment, the access to a gun is what is going to end a life. And we can make decisions and we can provide resources to prevent those lives from being lost. So far this year in Montgomery County, there have been 477 guns recovered. 68 of those guns are ghost guns. And those are only the ones that our professionals have recovered. This is a proliferating problem that is only getting worse. And we recognize that while Montgomery County continues to push the envelope as much as we possibly can within the legal parameters that we have, as much as Maryland and our great leaders in the General Assembly and the governor continue to push the way, we need federal leadership. We need national leadership. And so we are so grateful to have an organization like Moms Demand Action, to have partners in advocacy like you to continue to push, to lift up the voices of the victims and their families, which is what this weekend is all about, what yesterday was all about, to make sure that these statistics are not just numbers. They are the stories of families, of communities that have been devastated, that continue to be ravaged by the plague of gun violence. So we're pleased to be here. We have a proclamation from the County Council. Whereas every day 120 Americans are killed by gun violence and more than 200 are shot and wounded, with an average of nearly 18,000 gun homicides every year. And
whereas
Americans are 26 times more likely to die by gun homicide than people in other high-income countries. And
whereas Maryland has 796 gun deaths every year, with a rate of 13.3 deaths per 100,000 people, a crisis that costs the state $10.5 billion each year, of which $383.9 million is paid by taxpayers. Maryland has the 31st highest rate of gun death in the U.S. and
whereas gun violence prevention is more than ever, is more important than ever, as we see an increase in firearm homicides and non-fatal shootings across the country, increased calls to domestic violence hotlines, and an increase in city gun violence. And
whereas in 2013, Hadiya Pendleton was tragically shot and killed at age 15, and a group of Hadiya's friends asked their classmates to commemorate her life by wearing orange on her birthday, the first Friday in June, a color they chose because hunters wear orange to announce themselves to other hunters when out in the woods. And orange is a color that symbolizes the value of human life. And
whereas to recognize the 27th birthday of Hadiya Pendleton on June 7, 2024, the first Friday in June, people across the United States will recognize National Gun Violence Awareness Day and wear orange in tribute to her and other victims of gun violence, as well as the loved ones of those victims. And whereas by wearing orange on June 7, 2024, Americans will raise awareness about gun violence and honor the lives of gun violence victims and survivors. And whereas we renew our commitment to reduce gun violence and pledge to do all we can to keep firearms out of the hands of people who should not have access to them, and to encourage responsible gun ownership to help keep our families and our communities safe. Now therefore be it resolved that the Montgomery County Council declares June 7, 2024, the first Friday in June, National Gun Violence Awareness Day in Montgomery County, and be it further resolved that the Montgomery County Council supports efforts to prevent the tragic effects of gun violence and to honor and value all human lives. Presented on this 7th day of June in the year 2024 by myself, Andrew Friedson, as Council President, along with Vice President Kate Stewart, Natalie Fanny Gonzalez, Evan Glass, Sidney Katz, and the entire Montgomery County Council.
Next, it's my pleasure to introduce Christy Warren, the Executive Director of the Montgomery County Family Justice Center Foundation. The Montgomery County Family Justice Center Foundation works to raise awareness regarding issues of power-based violence, including domestic violence, elder abuse, and teen dating violence. They raise funds to support and enhance the services of the Family Justice Center, the FJC, for victims of domestic violence and their children. We're so grateful for our partnership with the Family Justice Center Foundation and the FJC and all the work they do in our county, and we're proud to support their efforts and really honored to have Christy join us today.
Hi, good morning everyone. We have a beautiful morning to come out here and be together for this event, and I'm really honored that I was invited to be a part of this. That was a great introduction about the Family Justice Center and the foundation. But just to give a little bit of background, the Family Justice Center is considered best practices in prevention and safety for domestic violence. And the reason for that is because for a family that is affected by domestic violence to get all of the services and assistance that they need, that could be anywhere upwards of 20 different agencies and organizations, which makes that, when you add into financial abuse, almost an impossible situation. So the beauty of the Family Justice Center is that all of the government agencies, the nonprofit organizations, these are all co-located in the same place. Our Family Justice Center happens to be under the eaves of the Sheriff's Department. It is different for different places, but we're lucky to have ours where it is. And how it works is when a victim comes to the Family Justice Center, they get assigned a family advocate, and they tell their story to that one person, so they don't have to go and repeat their trauma over and over and over again. They work with that client advocate to develop a safety plan, and that same client advocate coordinates with all of the other partners at the center. So that could be if they need to get protective orders, if they need legal assistance, it's therapy and counseling. The role of the foundation where we come in with that is we provide a secondary layer of wraparound support to the already fantastic support of the center. And we do that by working really closely with the director and the client advocates to say, what do we need? What's the gap that is making us lose people? And so we come in with programs, ours are called the Lifeline programs, and these programs are designed to remove barriers that prevent families from getting assistance and also to keep them safe while they are making that transition. And so why are we here? Why were we invited? There is an intersection between gun violence and domestic violence that is pretty staggering. And that is that if there is a firearm in a household where there's domestic violence, it increases the likelihood of homicide by 500%. 500%, it's an astounding number, and it's not a good one. So that is where, again, these community partnerships and bringing everybody together is just so important. We also know from our work that the most dangerous time for a victim of abuse is when they're trying to leave the abuser. So again, that's when we see those staggering numbers. So as everyone says, it's not good that we have to be here, but we are here and we're here to do some good. And so that's to raise awareness, to let people know this is such a serious issue. To fall back a little bit more in statistics, 1 in 3 women experience intimate partner violence in a lifetime. And then if you tack on that 500% lethality statistic, we're looking at some pretty scary numbers. And with the help of our community partners, and again, the support with Moms Demand Action, we have really been able to do some great work in expanding our Lifeline programs to help stop that in our community. And also, as a side note, the Family Justice Center, our specific one in Montgomery County, is a model for the world. We have other states, even other counties, we have other countries that come to look at our Family Justice Center, and then they go back to where they are to set theirs up exactly the way we do. So it's not a great situation, but we're doing the right thing to handle it. And again, that's just because of everybody that cares and comes out and has a voice, and for these groups that work together to partner. So thank you, everybody, and thanks for including me in this.
Thank you, Christy, and thank you for the incredible work that you and the organization do. The remainder of our meeting today is going to focus on the stories of gun violence survivors. We hope to lift up and honor survivor stories and voices in everything we do, but particularly on Wear Orange Weekend. Our movement is grounded in survivor experiences, and we seek to honor gun violence survivors and victims with our action. We're now going to invite any gun violence survivors in attendance to share their stories. I was going to pass around the microphone before I realized it wasn't passable, so you're more than welcome to come up to the mic or speak from where you are, whatever feels comfortable to you, and to share whatever feels comfortable to you. You can start with saying something like, I wear orange because, or I'm here because. And I'd like to start with my friend and fierce advocate, Giselle Murch.
Hello, everybody. So, good morning, soon to be good afternoon. Thank you for being here to take action in ending gun violence. My name, again, is Giselle Murch, and I wear orange for my son, J.C. Webster, who was shot and killed here in Montgomery County almost 7 years ago. It's not just for my son that I'm here, but for the countless other survivors who's been wounded or killed. How do you take action? Well, first of all, you all are here. So that's the very first step. You'll be doing some more steps when you go on the walk, but that's the very first step. You're here, and that shows support as we support one another, and then we learn from each other. And after learning, then we grow together, and we do something. We just don't sit there, we do something. You do something. Do something. Take action. Take action. Do it. Second, just as it's been mentioned numerous times today, this is because of what happened to Hadiya Pendleton and how her friends started the Wear Orange movement to honor her. And that brief history has been shared countless times today. But they let their voices be heard. They did something. So you all are here to do something. They brought awareness to the fact that more than 120 people, just like it was said numerous times today and on the proclamation, 120 people are shot and killed every day here in America. We're not talking about in Europe, we're talking about here in America. Thirdly, you have a role to play in ending gun violence. Use your voice. Use your voice to make some noise, just like they're making noise over there. Use your voice to make some noise. Spread the awareness that gun violence is an epidemic. But just like COVID, oh please, you got a vaccine for that, or you're wearing a mask for that. But we are able to stop it. So go out and vote for gun sense candidates. This is 2024. This is a year we vote. So who are you gonna vote for? Gun sense candidates. Do you know who the gun sense candidates are? Yes. All right, that's a good answer, because if you don't, we can help you out. We can tell you who the gun sense candidates are. You, just like they back us up today, we need you all to back them up today. But this is not a political promotion right here. Sorry about that, my bad. But, you know, I want to say that when my son graduated from high school, from Einstein, it was this very park that his friends had their high school party. So this brings back memories of a happier time and a happier occasion. So I'm gonna end this by saying a special thank you to, first of all, God, and a special thank you to, I don't care what anybody says, I want you all to give it up for our state legislatures, our local legislatures, because Montgomery County rocks. We rule. Give it up for the sheriff. You know, we appreciate each and every one of you all, from the senators to the delegates to congressmen and women, excuse me, you know, to colleagues in the council, to the mayors. You know, I could go on and on because I know I'm going to miss some people, but thank you for having our backs. If you continue to have our backs, well, we'll continue to have your back. You know, hey, I call it as it is. What can you say? But I just want to end by saying that thank you to Moms Demand Action for this chance to honor our loved ones, and to all survivors to know that I might not know exactly what you're going through, but you better believe I feel your pain. You better believe it. And you better believe that those representatives you have in Montgomery County and those in Annapolis, they feel it too. Because Moms Demand Action, we take it to them, and that's why they're here. That is why they could be anywhere else, but they're here. So that's why my speech just has to include the council members, the mayors, you know, whatever officials are here. Thank you, because I apologize for leaving you all out, but you all rock. So I invite any other survivors, please come on up, take this microphone from me, and shout your loved ones' names or share your story. Mine, his name is JC. Thank you. Somebody better take this mic from me because I can't sing.
Well, nobody wants to follow you, Giselle, because you are a hard act to follow. Giselle is so amazing and inspires us all every day. So I just wanted to say thank you all for coming here. My name is Jan Donahoe McNamara. I became involved with Mom soon after my brother-in-law, John McNamara, was killed in the Capital Gazette mass shooting. That was the community newspaper located near Annapolis. The perpetrator very deliberately targeted the staff of the newspaper by barricading the back door and then shooting his way into the office, and thereby killing 5 and injuring 2. The incredible staff still got the newspaper out the next day, by the way. Because there was many hours between when the incident was announced in the press and when it was clear who had survived and who had not, there were many hours of waiting. So my husband was with their mother, which meant in the end it fell to me to tell our daughters, who were then 9 and 11, what had happened. This is not a conversation I want any other parent to have. This is not news I want any other family to have to live through and to continue to navigate. So I really appreciate Moms Demand Action for giving me and so many others a way to take action, as Giselle so brilliantly says, to use your voice. When I go to Annapolis to do a rally or to testify, which I've had the opportunity to do multiple times, I'm about 4 miles away from where John and his colleagues were killed. It is not an easy trip, but I am always so grateful. I walk away grateful every time for living in Montgomery County, because the delegation that you see, so many of them here, they understand, they are here, they are present, they are champions. And that goes for our county leadership, for Sheriff Wee, and so many elected officials. And when I come to an event like this, there's always incredible attendance, and I'm so grateful. So thank you all so much for being here, for going beyond thoughts and prayers and turning it into action. I could not be more grateful. Thank you.
All right, we're going to try this. Sorry for using my phone, but it has an orange case, so I figure that fits in well. I wear orange because 120 people are killed in this country every day by gun violence. I wear orange sorry, because a year and a half ago, one of those people was my sister's husband, after we had all been out for dinner in Silver Spring. I wear orange because my teenager and I were the first ones on the scene. I wear orange so that no other family has to go through this trauma and grief ever again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It is a joy to my heart to see you here in orange today. I'm Rosemary Lytle. I wear orange because my dad, my protector, my first and best teacher was taken from me, from us by murder almost 30 years ago. I wear orange because in Colorado, I was affiliated with this group that worked closely with my organization, the NAACP, Colorado, Montana, Wyoming State Conference, and other organizations to ensure that Colorado's laws protected us from gun violence. I wear orange because gun violence disproportionately affects my community. It disproportionately affects the African American community. And I wear orange because of stories like those that we have heard already. I wear it because I must take action. I must take action. I must take action. And so I thank you for being here today and doing so as well.
Our survivor membership lead, Joyce Littman, could not be here today, but she asked me to share that she wears orange. Oh, please come, don't go. She wears orange to honor the memory of her father, who was murdered in a robbery. She also does it to stand up for and fight to ensure that other families do not go through what hers has suffered. So we wear orange for Joyce's father.
Hi, I'm Vera Rose Muir. My youngest brother in 1987 committed suicide for mental health reasons. We don't give enough to mental health. We really need it. And he was a perfect young man that never swore, never drank, never anything, but at age 24, he had headaches his whole life, and he always talked suicide. And we did lots of things for him, but it obviously wasn't enough. And so I want to really emphasize mental health. Know someone that's suffering, please give them the time and point them to the right direction and see what we can all do for him. Thank you. Scott was his name.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. My name is Yamaleth. I am a part of the Street Outwork Network team, and no one told me to come up here and talk, but I did want to get the opportunity to get up here and talk to you guys because I appreciate everything you guys have done. I've been born and raised in DC, new to Montgomery County, so I've lost tons of friends to gun violence, and I work with youth nowadays that have access to these guns out in the community that shouldn't have access to these guns. I've lost friends that the gun went off while they supposedly knew what they were doing with the guns. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for doing what you guys are doing, and especially putting focus on working with the kids, because they do have tons of trauma to these things, even just being out in the streets, like the community in Montgomery County. So we do work with our kids, and I do appreciate you guys, and that's it.
It's a privilege to wear orange with all of you. Thank you for sharing with us. We're going to conclude our meeting with a musical performance by Gabrielle Zui. Gabrielle is a musician, actor, arts activist, and former member of Students Demand Action based in Rockville. As you will hear, Gabrielle is a singer-songwriter who complements their insightful, powerful lyrics with energetic and captivating music. We're so grateful to Gabrielle for sharing their talent and passion with us today.
Before I begin, in February 2020, my friend Joel and his girlfriend Diana were murdered by a high school senior with a gun. Joel and I were part of the Secret Society of Science Songwriters, an after-school program based at Northwest High School where we researched science topics and made songs and music videos about them for teachers to use. This is where I met my partner and basically all of my best friends. It's the kind of program you hear of in conversations about preventing youth violence and crime, especially in areas like Germantown, the most diverse city in Maryland. Joel did graduate from high school and died at 21 years old, though he was shot by an 18-year-old high school senior whom he had only met a few times before that. While the shooting took place in Virginia, it was just minutes out of Maryland, and both victims were MCPS graduates. It could have been here or anywhere. Whether it's a school shooting or a random act of violence, no high schooler should have access to firearms, especially as quickly and easily and casually as Joel's shooter obtained the gun and made the decision to use it and then just went back to school a couple hours later. I was involved in Students Demand Action and similar organizations years before that happened, before I had personally lost a friend to gun violence, basically as a product of being a Gen Z student in this country. So that is what this first song is about. I wrote it at the end of May 2022, and it's called Guns to a Playground Fight.
Sorry. Okay. The carousel music is disorienting. Never lived a single day in a world without mass school shootings. With Columbine in '99, you'd think by now I'd be desensitized. Sandy Hook when I was in 7th grade. How naive was I to believe things would change? They never change. 'Cause that's the America we live in. That's the America we grew up in, don't you know? That's the America we fight for, even though they fight back at us as they chant pro-life, bringing their guns to a playground fight. I graduated college just last week, and I think about how I was lucky enough to make it all the way through with just bomb threats and shooting drills, and hearing from friends at Magruder and Great Mills, and seeing it on the news, and the grief and anxiety, but never the real thing. No, never the real thing. And that's the America we live in. That's the America we grew up in, don't you know? That's the America we fight for, even though they fight back at us as they chant pro-life, bringing their guns to a playground fight. And my friends, they never hear the end of it, and I fear we'll never put an end to this. How many lives of children will be lost to it? How many times? How many times? And that's the America we live in. That's the America we grew up in, don't you know? That's the America we fight for, even though they fight back at us as they chant pro-life, bringing their guns to a playground fight. That's the America we live in. That's the America we grew up in, don't you know? That's the America we fight for, even though they fight back at us as they chant pro-life, bringing their guns to a playground fight. Bringing their guns to a playground fight.